Okay, nerds and geeks of the world, welcome to WNRD episode 2. We made it through the first one. We're back again. I know you couldn't wait. All of our probably 8 or 10 listeners out there currently. A lot of them are probably the same 2 or 3 people listening multiple times. But we're back.
Yes, we are. How's everyone doing today? Once again, this is Michael, and I'm here with
Alan Lugo.
All right. Just want to start with the intro to today's topic. We're going to talk about class reunions. I'm at that age where they're seeming to be becoming fast and regular now. People heading back, talking to people they used to, see in high school and whatnot. Now, is there even a need for them anymore? We'll touch on that more on the topic. But, Alan, how old are you again?
34. Class
Okay.
of 2000 high school.
See, I'm class of 1992.
Oof.
So
That's old.
A few more I had the opportunity to go to under my belt. So we're going to touch base on that, kind of tied into that, as well as we're going to talk about, when did you first decide or realize that you were a geek or nerd or whatever you want to call it? I'm thinking most people probably harken back to that middle school, high school time when they found out that was a part of their identity.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting topic. I'm going to have a lot to say about that. We're going to touch a little bit on some moments, like when you think about high school reunion in high school, like what are some key moments in high school that defined you as a nerd, and you're kind of like, ooh, I'm a nerd, aren't I?
Yeah, that'll be fun. Before we get into today's topic, let's kind of go over some current events, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the passing of Ron Glass. For those of you that are of the geek persuasion, probably best know him as Shepard Book from the canceled Far Too Soon series Firefly.
Yeah, so we touched on Firefly in the first episode. It was part of our scale. So yeah, when you had mentioned to me, I didn't know him by name. So first thing I do is Google him, and I say, oh yeah, it's the guy from Firefly. And then so I was like, oh yeah, I can see a lot of fans probably were pretty devastated about that news.
Yeah. I mean, some of you that are a little bit older might remember him also from Barney Miller, but for me, he was the heart and soul of Firefly. And spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen Serenity, which came out over 10 years ago, he did die in that too. So I guess the only real silver lining is that, unfortunately, his passing is not going to affect anything or as far as the show goes, because that's been off the air for some time. But still, it's sad to see him go.
Yeah, rest in peace, Ron Glass.
Yeah, thank you, Ron Glass, for your work on Firefly and everything else. It was fantastic. The other thing I want to talk about, tickets for Rogue One went on sale Monday night at midnight. Alan, did you get any tickets?
I haven't got my tickets yet. I kind of wait till it gets closer. I'm in an interesting predicament now. I have a trip to Asia that came up for work kind of unexpectedly. So when the movie is released, I won't be here. So do I watch it in Asia in a Hong Kong theater? I kind of feel like I have to come home and watch it with my wife, for sure. She's a Star Wars fan as well. But it's going to be important now that I'm going to need to pre-buy my ticket, because I'm going to come home on a Saturday and I want to just go and see the movie that Saturday.
And not just Saturday, that's the Saturday of the opening weekend. So being that this is a Star Wars movie, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty packed.
Well, yeah. So the Saturday show, because it releases on a Friday, right?
Well,
or is there Thursday midnight shows? Because the thing is, the real true geeks and nerds are going to be at those first day or two, right? So yeah. I'm going to get the Saturday show with all the sort of casual fans, right? All the families, a lot of the kids, and all that. So
and the geeks seen it their second and third and fourth time.
You're right. You're right about that. So it's going to be more of a little bit of a mixed crowd, not the hardcore geeks only on that. So, but I'm excited about it for sure.
Yeah, the official release date is listed as December 16th, but back in my day when they did the re-releases and when they did Phantom Menace, they did releases at midnight. I remember going to those. Yeah,
usually they announce those really closer to the date, right? Like certain theaters will have the rights to do those early shows or something like that.
But just like they did with The Force Awakens, I believe they're starting shows at 7 o'clock on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to be here. So I wish I could. I would love to have gone to one of those early shows.
I actually was up till midnight Sunday night, Monday morning. Was trying to get tickets. I wanted to go to the local AMC here in town. I don't know if you've been since they remodeled, but they got the big loungers now, the automatic recline.
Which location?
It's the AMC. It's the...
on Alpine?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't go to that one as much. I'm a Celebration man.
I have been for the last several years because before AMC took it over, it was a Star Theater and it had been on the decline.
Yeah.
I started going this past spring. They only have half as many seats now, but they're all huge.
I did go to one movie there because sometimes when the showtime works out, I go there, and I do remember they had really nice seats. I did buy my commemorative Rogue One refillable popcorn bucket at the last movie I went to. So I have my free refill bucket for the rest of the movie season this winter.
That's what we've been doing for years, is buying those refillable buckets over at the Celebration. But I went to go buy tickets at AMC, and something was jacked up with their website. They said all over the website they're on sale. You click on it, couldn't buy them. I was freaking out. I didn't want to miss it because it's Rogue One opening night. I have to be there. That's the obsessive part of me. Luckily, I checked on Monday morning and found some seats at Celebration.
Okay, good.
And I bought them there. And then about midway through, I think, sometime in the afternoon, maybe early morning, AMC finally got it together and offered seats. But by then, I already bought my tickets.
So you didn't already pre-buy your second... I think you did that with Force Awakens, right? Didn't you pre-buy like your second viewing seats as well?
Yeah, because I actually took off the entire day, the 18th of 2015. Took the whole day off thinking, I'm going to see Star Wars today.
Yeah.
Then they released it actually a day early. I had tickets for both.
Yeah, I had a coworker today come and ask me, and he's a sci-fi fan, into a lot of stuff, probably not as much free time as we have to get into it, but... and it's funny because he was kind of like, now wait a minute, can you explain to me what... He was like, is this one before or after the one that just came out last year? And I had to explain to him, like, no, this one is actually between episode 3 and 4. And he was like, wait a minute, why is it not the one after the one we just saw? And I was like, that one comes out next year. So it was funny to know that, like, not everybody's 100% following the timeline, right? And it can be kind of confusing when you try to explain it.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. In that I've experienced the same exact thing. My daughter Anna, she asked me about it. She's like, well, why would I even want to see this? I want to see what happens to Rey. We just saw her. What happens to her? Well, honey, that happens in the next film. Well, who's this person? I don't care. And I was actually surprised. I guess not everyone is a hardcore Star Wars fan, as perhaps you and I are.
Well, this concept of movie universes, right? Multimedia universes is new to us right now, right? For the most part. Oh, yeah. I mean, at this level, I mean, when we were growing up, there wasn't a lot of like prequels and we get a saga and 10 years later we get the movie before it or we get the spin-off. I mean, there was some, but we have to think pretty hard about it. But now it's like that's the formula of making money. So I think a lot of people don't quite understand why are we jumping around in the timeline, right?
I can see that. That makes a good argument there. You're right, because before the Star Wars prequels, it's hard to find a lot of other movies that had prequels before.
Yeah, I don't even want to take the time to think because I'm not going to think of any off the top of my head, but it's kind of the way they're doing it now.
Just want to touch on a couple of those things. Like I said, Ron Glass, sorry to see him go. And Rogue One tickets, I got mine. I got 4 for 7:30 on December 15th, that Thursday night.
So you win the battle between you and I. You will have already seen it before me, for sure. Unless I decide and get the okay from the wife to go view it without her in Hong Kong. I'd have to check the time. I may be able to view it before anybody else. I don't even know when the release date is over there, though.
I wish you luck, only because I know my girlfriend would kill me if I saw it without her.
Well, I could always not tell anybody and make sure she doesn't listen to this podcast.
That's a fantastic foundation for a new marriage. Lies.
Yeah. Okay. Moving along.
A couple other things I just want to touch base on this week. A couple small things. Just what are you geeking out about this week? And I've got some things to say, but Alan, I believe, just saw a fantastic movie this weekend. Yeah.
So Incredible Beasts and Where to Find Them, right? Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic Beasts. My wife calls it fantastical, so it's a tough name to remember. But went and saw this weekend with my wife. I have never seen more than at least 20 minutes of any one single Harry Potter movie.
Really?
So I'll say that first off. Not that I have anything against them. It's just initially I was like, well, I'm going to wait until they're all out, and then I'm going to watch them all because I wasn't that invested into the franchise. I haven't done that yet. So of course I don't have 2 full days to sit down and watch all 8 movies or whatever. But I liked this one. It was really cool. I think there was a lot. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. It's too soon. But I think there was a lot in the movie that was really cool, especially effects-wise, that I wasn't necessarily expecting from the trailers and the previews.
Really? See, you've now got my interest, and here's why. I have watched the first 2 Harry Potter movies, and at the risk of losing my Geek card, I have read none of the books.
Yeah, I haven't read the books either.
So on that, Ellen and I are the same. We are Harry Potter, I wouldn't say virgins, but I think the proper term, we're muggles. Does that make us muggles?
Yeah, no, you're right. That term was in the movie as well. So there was a lot of stuff in the movie that I could tell. I was like, I think this is part of this universe, but I don't know. It's new to me. So I did really like the movie. I thought it was really cool. I think with this part of the saga, it's not so much what I would consider a kids movie anymore. Like the first couple, the characters were really young, right? More kids based. This one feels much more for a widespread age range.
This one's a prequel too, though, isn't it?
I think it's it's after.
Is it?
I'm not the right guy to ask.
Okay.
From the context clues, I thought it took place after.
I thought it took place like a couple decades before the Harry Potter.
So any Harry Potter fans that listen to this, I know one in particular that may listen to this podcast. So they referenced Albus Dumbledore.
Okay.
I know that name.
Right.
I don't know where he sits in the universe, but they definitely referenced him in the movie. And just from my terrible context clues of that universe, I thought it took place after the Harry Potter movies.
And that could very well be. So instead of arguing as to when it takes place, saying yes, we are not the Harry Potter geeks. We'll let you guys comment and tell us where we've made our fatal mistakes when it comes to Harry Potter.
That's why the Harry Potter franchise wasn't on our 1 to 10 scale, because neither of us really could give it justice for how much its value is. So we need some fans to comment in on the SoundCloud or YouTube or whatever, Twitter us in, and tell us where Harry Potter should sit on our franchise universe scale.
Yep, that'd be awesome. A couple things I want to geek out about this week. I'm going to start with something similar, just that it's filmed. The CW universe, or the CW DC universe, whatever they're calling it, that consists of Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. I just want to touch base on that because they just had their big crossover. It's still going this week. Tonight is the final episode. I watched the first two parts, the Supergirl portion and the Flash portion. I'm going to tell you, if you haven't watched it yet, you can totally skip the Supergirl one.
So now I haven't watched those as much. I've said before I'm a DC hater, but it seems like those CW shows are doing pretty well from what I can tell. I mean, on the websites and stuff, I feel like they get a lot of chatter.
Yeah, oh yeah. Especially, I mean, I'm sure I'll offend someone here, but for me, the two really awesome ones are Flash and Arrow. Supergirl I'm just getting into, but everything I've watched so far I really like. I have to admit, I actually skipped Legends of Tomorrow last season. It didn't show much appeal to me. I'm going to watch the episode tonight, or the one that's DVR'd for tonight, that ends the Heroes versus Aliens 4-part crossover. Yeah, like I was saying, I watched Supergirl on Monday. Its connection to it was maybe 30 seconds. So if you completely skipped Supergirl and watched just the Flash on Tuesday night, you saw the same footage in that episode. That said, it was everything that I wanted and a little bit more, not even realizing that I wanted it. It's a good team up. It wasn't, they broke the rule or the way they usually do it. Let's say Captain America Civil War. It's always, these two heroes, they're going to fight first and then they'll get together and fight the bad guy. They didn't do that initially on this one. No more spoilers than that. Of course, it couldn't be a comic book show or a comic book unless the heroes didn't fight at some point. So I'll throw that out there, but I don't want to give them spoilers. I really enjoyed it, what I've seen so far. I'm looking forward to the next two parts. So geeking out about that. The other thing I just want to talk about real quick, just got Invisible Republic, the second volume. That's a trade paperback that comes out from Image. I bought the first trade earlier this year. Really enjoyed it. I'm not going to get too much into it, but basically it's sci-fi, but taken from the perspective of a journalist who basically...
Wait, the journalist is a character in the book, or he's an actual guy writing it?
A little of both. Well, yeah, he's mostly the character. He's looking... So basically, there's all these different worlds, and there's this one where there was this dictator who started kind of like benevolent, but at the end of his rule was not. This journalist has just come across the secret diaries of his cousin, I believe. And he's reading them, and he's finding out how this guy came to power. And that's what the comic is basically about. How this guy came to power, and eventually how he fell from power. The first one was really good, enough so that I finally went ahead and bought the second volume. I've just started it, so I really can't speak to how good it is right now, but it's a very interesting concept. It's sci-fi, but it's slow. It's a slow burn, and I'm liking it. So if you get a chance, you might want to check that out. I also want to mention Paper Girls Volume 2 comes out next week. That's Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang. Cliff Chiang previously had done the Wonder Woman New 52 relaunch with Brian Azzarello. I've got the first 2 or 3 trades of that digitally. Never been a huge Wonder Woman fan, but that looked really interesting. I bought those. Loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Same guy's doing the art on this. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but if you know Brian K. Vaughan and his work, he is excellent when it comes to science fiction and stuff like that. The best way I could describe this book, it's kind of like Stranger Things, but with teenage girls, possibly aliens.
Possibly aliens.
Possibly aliens. But I will say this, though. This actually came out before Stranger Things.
Okay.
So I don't want anyone to think Brian K. Vaughan's jumping on the bandwagon here. First volume came out before Stranger Things came out, I believe. A lot of fun. And the last thing I want to mention I'm geeking out about, the Blue Monday series has been republished by Image. Used to be published by Oni Press. The second volume comes out in 2 weeks. That's by China Cluxton Flores. Anyone out there who is a big fan of the 80s and the music and the style, and then also maybe also a fan of American-style manga, would like this book. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of references to a lot of 80s artists, and it's just teenagers being dumb teenagers in the 80s, but with an awesome soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with anything from the 80s. So in terms of things that we're reading, basically, you had a lot of comic book interest there. I have a couple books that I'm reading from the Star Wars universe, the new canon, right? Like all the previous hundreds of books of Star Wars were almost all wiped clean, right?
Yeah, don't they call that the Legends or something like that?
Well, I think some books were retired into the Legends category, and then some were given another name that don't really count anymore or something. But so the official sort of Disney canon, I've been reading some of those books. I read the 2 Aftermath series books, but right now the one I'm almost finished with is Star Wars Bloodline by Claudia Gray. So I'm holding the book right here. It takes place before The Force Awakens, okay? Pretty good. Again, not super action-packed. There's a couple interesting parts in there, and I'm not going to give anything away. But it's a nice read. Obviously, if you enjoy the Star Wars universe, you're going to like it. Princess Leia is the key character. They're introducing 1 or 2 new characters as well that may have showed up in The Force Awakens in a small role, but probably may show up in the future movies as well. Almost finished with that, and then when I go into this trip to Asia for the plane ride, I bought the book, and forget the name of it at the moment, but it's the book that's the lead-in to Rogue One. So I'll be able to read that and then go see Rogue One, so I'll be hitting the ground running on that series.
Now let me ask you a question. Did you like those books, the Aftermath books?
I did. I love Star Wars, though. I make no apologies for almost anything in the Star Wars universe. I'm really, really hesitant to critique anything harshly. I like the books because to me it's more things for me to absorb, and I like the stories. You know, it's just more of what I like. So I like them. I think they're great.
I was just curious, just because I think last year, sometime within the last year, the first Aftermath book went on sale for a couple bucks digitally. Mm-hmm. I didn't actually buy it just because the reviews on Amazon were just abysmal.
Yeah, and I think that's what you got to watch out for in the Star Wars universe, though. It's like everybody wants everything to be The Empire Strikes Back, the book version of Empire Strikes Back, right? You know what I mean? And I think if you want more, if you want to know more, if you want to think, well, what was going on with this character when everybody else was doing that? I think you're going to like it. I mean, some people have said that they weren't, sophisticated enough for them or anything, but at the same time, to me, it's like, well, a lot of the Star Wars movies weren't all that sophisticated either, but I absolutely love them. So I think if you're not overly cynical or not expecting it to be one of the best books you ever read, you're going to enjoy it.
Okay. Now, would you say they're good just for filling in some of the backstory, or would you say that they're just entertaining novels in their own right? Not to get too deep into it.
No, I think they're entertaining in their own right. I mean, they don't, at least the Aftermath ones and this Bloodline one, it doesn't fill in a lot of backstory, but I feel like it just sort of adds more depth to the universe. I mean, if anybody has read the Game of Thrones books and watched the show, to me it's kind of like, in the later seasons of Game of Thrones, they start filtering out a lot of stuff that was in the books. So to me, that's what this is like. If you just want more detail, nothing that might change the way you look at the movies in the big story, but if you want more detail and you want the universe to be more robust, it does that.
That's interesting, because I believe Lucasfilm has basically come out and said that these books, the comics, the current cartoons, they're all canon.
Yeah, they're all connected in some way, shape, or form. And everybody, I read some articles from the authors that are writing some of these books, and they say, they get little tidbits about the stories and the future movies and stuff. Not enough that they really know what's going on, but they're
Right.
told, stay away from this, don't touch that. Oh, you might want to think about this.
Okay. You've piqued my interest. I might, if the opportunity comes along, I might check out some of those books.
Well, you got to start putting down some of these comics and stop watching the CW shows. You want to make time for it, though.
Fair enough. Well, that's just our current events. Take a brief pause here as we segue into our main topic.
What makes you think you can bullshit your way into my head? Like every other pencil-neck piece of shit.
All right, welcome back. We're going to jump right into our main topic here today. We're going to talk about class reunions now. I'm 43, coming up next year.
So you said class of 92.
I'm class of 92.
So how many reunions have you gone to thus far?
0.
Okay.
I've been to absolutely no reunions. Now, I don't know about your class. Are you from the area? Are you from?
No, I'm not from this area. I'm from the east side of the state. So let's get this out of the way as well. How many students were in your graduating class?
I believe there were around 400 some odd students.
Oh, okay, so then your high school was probably over 1,000 then.
Oh, yeah.
So my graduating class, I believe, was 67 students.
So about a fifth the size. I think it's 300, about 300 some odd kids.
Yeah, so I mean, my entire high school was probably 300 kids. So that puts a little bit in perspective.
Right. So you have your graduating class about a sixth the size of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've moved across state. How often do you see people that you went to school with?
Not very often. I mean, there's only one or two good friends that I stay in touch with, and we still visit. And I think it must have been my 10-year reunion, so it would have been 2010. A couple people tried to pull a reunion together. I decided to go. I think we had, there might have been like 18 people there. Like a couple people popped in and popped out, but there was like 18 or maybe 20 people at the most for sure.
Oh, it's like a third.
Yeah. Well, a quarter, maybe, let's say. Roughly, I don't know. I don't remember exactly how many. But there wasn't that many people there. A lot of the times what they're doing now from my area is they're just having to have reunions where they say, look, if you graduated within a 5 or 6 year span, just show up.
Really?
So we have enough people to pay for catering and rent the space and all this kind of stuff.
So you came from a small town.
Very small town, out in the middle of nowhere. So Mayville.
You don't even know where it is.
People love to make fun of it because it sounds like Mayberry, and it's as equally tiny and insignificant as well. So yeah, it's a little bit different because, right, if a quarter of the people from yours showed up, you got a full house.
Yeah, we got around 100 people, maybe 75, 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you know if your class has done 5, 10, 15-year reunions?
I don't think so. I think it was the 10. Somebody might have kicked around an idea of a 5-year. Now keep this in mind too. Even at the at the 5-year, I think Facebook was in its infancy. Mostly college students only at that point in time. So we had there was a little bit more social media to try to get it together. Whereas your 5-year, people were still writing letters, right? People were trying to send letters to your mom's house, seeing if you still live there.
We used email because I remember I got some emails from some people I went to school with. They were trying to get a hold of our class president because apparently that's their job.
To keep a list.
Right, but you do make an interesting point, the fact that, obviously you're younger, so Facebook was more recent, and that definitely affected your high school reunions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
See, and you're right. We didn't have Facebook for the first 15 years with reunions.
Well, yeah, because your big ones are maybe a 5, but nobody's really accomplished much at that point.
Yeah.
But a 10-year is usually the big one, right? So you would have had a 10-year at 2002.
Yeah.
Right?
Didn't go.
So the big 10-year came, and you just so let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Why have you not gone? And don't be honest. There's some real reasons, right?
Oh yeah. I think. How do I put this? My high school is very cliquish.
Well, all high schools are.
All of them are. You make a good point. High school is very cliquish, and me and my group of friends, people I hung out with, we distinguish ourselves, or thought we distinguished ourselves, as the anti-click clique, where anyone and everyone was welcome to hang out with us, not realizing that essentially we made a clique.
Yeah.
So, there are some people I was probably interested in what happened to them.
Yeah.
Post high school. I really can't answer as to why I didn't go to my 10th, other than, actually I can answer it. If I'm being 100% honest, I didn't feel like I had accomplished what I should at 28 in my life. I was working help desk for a company here in town, a mid-sized grocery chain. So I was working in IT. It was my chosen field at that point in time, but I was still help desk and underpaid.
So yeah, I mean that's a huge reason why a lot of people don't go, right? Because they always think, well, I want to go and show up, and I want to prove to everybody how great I am now, and all these things I've accomplished. And a lot of people really don't care, but we internally put that pressure on ourselves.
Oh,
right?
I agree. I bet you. I basically should probably just put my pride aside, and I probably would have run into several people that felt the same way.
Yeah.
So maybe in hindsight, I should have gone my 10-year. Now, it changed, then obviously by the time the 15th, and certainly by the 20th, Facebook had exploded.
Yep.
Now we live in the age of the eternal or perpetual friendships. You're friends with everyone that you knew when you were 12 years old, and now here you are 30 years later, and you're still friends with them.
Right. I wonder what Joe,
quote-unquote friends.
I wonder what Joe Schmo's doing. Oh, well, let me just search him on Facebook, friend him, he'll request me, or he'll accept it, and then within 5 minutes, you've learned all the things you want to know.
Exactly.
And then you're done, right? You pretty much wash your hands of Joe Schmo at that point.
I'm done.
He stays on your list maybe, but...
Yeah, you're hitting the nail right on the head. When I got on Facebook first, probably 10 years ago, give or take, I friended a lot of people I went to high school with. I was very curious what they were up to and what was going on. But within 5-10 minutes, I found out. Anyone that I wanted to remain close to in high school, I still am. In fact, I've got friends that I went to grade school with. Now, that's a whole other discussion in that I went to Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And the stereotype is Catholic school friends, you remain friends for life. And I could say in my case that is true. I've got friends that I went to 4th grade with.
So how far away are you currently living from your high school?
Less than 10 miles.
Okay, so that makes a big difference, right?
Yeah.
But you, in this area, we're in the greater Grand Rapids area, there's a lot of reasons to stay in this area, right? Like where I grew up, it's like, hey, if you want to stay there, great. But there's not a lot of careers there, so it's like you have to leave that area, which again makes it even harder to get people to come back usually.
Right. So, do you go back very often?
No. Nope. I mean, I go back to my mom still lives where she lived when I grew up. So, but I never really passed through the town because we lived in the country, right? So there was a couple small towns, and I go to some of the towns, but I never really go back to the town where my high school was because there wasn't any real reason to. And when I'm there, it's kind of strange, So I kind of wish I'm kind of nostalgic for it. I kind of wish a great opportunity would come up to make me go back there, but it hasn't come along yet.
Okay. So, see, I am an entirely opposite situation. I pass my high school at least a weekly basis. My house is no more than 3 miles how the crow flies away from the house that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. And the woman I'm dating right now, I went to high school with her.
Yep. That's the interesting thing is like, in my head, that's kind of this weird thing, but it's like, well, I came from such a tiny little place. Right. So there was only 50 people to choose from. Right. If you're in the Grand Rapids area, there's lots of people to choose from, so it makes more sense.
If you're talking about all the people that were in high school at the same time I was, not just including my class, there are literally thousands of people that I've interacted with in that span of time.
Well, in our school too, it's like very rarely did anybody know or have friends from any other school.
Really?
Because the schools were the closest schools were 15 miles away, country miles.
Wow.
I mean, some of the schools you play sports against were an hour and a half bus ride away. So it's not like you were interacting with people from, East and West High and Catholic Central. No, there was one school in a 20-mile radius.
Right. So you went back to your 10th, though.
Yeah, we went back to the 10th, and there was 13 to 18 people there. And it was interesting who showed up. It was a real mixed bag of who showed up, right? It was a little bit smattering of everybody. It wasn't like one clique showed up and the other ones didn't.
Did you see anyone that you were like, oh my God, what has happened to this person these last 10 years? Did you have one of those moments? Not really. Like I said, at that point, Facebook had already been there a little bit, so not too much. But it was nice to catch up with some people, and you're like, a couple guys that I knew them, and we were kind of friends. We had no reason to not be friends. But then as you talk to him, you're like, yeah, I like this guy. And you start to think back to high school, and you're like, yeah, he was a cool guy in high school. There were some dudes that were assholes and jerks, and this dude, he was a cool dude, and he's still a cool dude. See, that's the thing. I don't know if my class is doing a 25-year. If so, it'd be next year. There is a small part of me that's like, you're getting to that age where people are going to start dropping off. People already have been.
Wait, what do you mean dropping off? Dying?
Yeah, I'm 43. I'm not old.
43. People are going to start dropping off. Jesus.
Unfortunately, as
Hey,
sad as it seems,
that's those Gen Xers for you.
live fast and die young. Or, as Michael Scott would say, live fast and die old.
Live slow and die old.
It's sad. I mean, yeah, the average person lives into their 70s, but 43, we've already had a handful of losses, and people have died in our class. So, like I said, I'm at that point now where people are dropping off. Yeah, if I want to see someone that maybe they're not on Facebook, or someone that maybe doesn't divulge a lot of who they are on Facebook, maybe there's people out there that I should touch base with, or maybe even seeing if someone changed. Let's face it.
Yep.
Some people find out who they are in high school, and which I believe I found out who I was in high school, and I'm pretty much. I mean, I've changed too, but the core version of me, I think, is pretty much the same. Whereas a lot of people, I mean, adolescence now extends through college for some people. So maybe there's some people that if I saw them now, they're like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I was a real asshole in high school, and that's
the reason why a lot of people probably don't go, right? I mean, you're on either end of the spectrum, right? You're either the person who was an asshole and you knew you were an asshole, so you don't want to go, or you're a person who people were assholes to you, right? They bullied you, so you're like, why do I want to go and be around all these assholes that bullied me? You know what I mean? I don't want to deal with that. It's too much stress.
I'm not going to name names, but there are people that still live in town that they were a complete ass, whatever you want to call them, back in high school, and to this day, I still don't want to interact with them in any way, shape, or form.
So going back to our WNRD Nerd America, have you became more of a nerd, the same amount of a nerd, or less as a nerd, relatively speaking, than your high school self?
I'm the same amount of nerd, but I'm way more public about it than I was in high school.
Yeah. Well, because now nerd is this cool thing to be, right?
Right. There is this nerd chic.
Yeah. I mean, like, the nerds, like, outnumber the non-nerds these days, it seems like, almost.
Oh, yeah. I mean, now it's cool to be into Star Wars, to be into comic books, to be into manga and anime. Whereas when I was in high school, there was Robotech. As far as anime goes, there was Star Blazers, which now you've got thousands of titles, to pick from and watch and all that. So, yeah, things are different. So
you're saying you're the same, but it's just more open. It's more easily accessible.
Yeah, I had to hide it a bit more. I wasn't a closeted nerd per se, but I also admit I was one of those people that was a late bloomer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoy toys. To this day, I still enjoy toys. When I go to a convention and buy some toys, people are like, "Oh, you're going to collect that and keep it in the package?" No, I'm going to take that out and I'm going to play with it. It's a stormtrooper. I want to take him out, make him hold the gun, and walk around and shoot people. That's what you do.
So, great segue to it, because we're going to get into a couple like nerd moments from back in the day. So, like you said, toys. Same thing with me. Like, I was the toy king growing up. Anybody in my family, extended family, friends. There was one friend I had, Hank and Jacob. If you ever listened to this podcast, you guys had more toys than I did. But they were three brothers, so they had three boys collecting toys. Other than that, I had a lot of toys. And I just haven't sort of let that go. And so, not that I still buy a lot of toys now, but I still have them. Most of them.
But I think everyone goes through a phase somewhere around middle school where they stop buying toys. They might still want to buy them, but I think they stop. When did you stop?
I didn't ever really stop. So one story I wanted to touch on, and I think it was either 7th or 8th grade. And I was young for my class. I was like the youngest boy in my grade. So that paired with my nerdiness. So 7th or 8th grade, I remember there was like a date. Like, I had a quote unquote girlfriend, right? And at that time, I was only very vaguely interested in having a girlfriend. And I remember we did one of these trips where we rode with my mom and we went to the mall, we went shopping or whatever, and we're sitting in the back seat, right? So we go to the mall, and I just remember this so very specifically. I went to KB Toys and bought this Star Wars Pit of Carcoons Sarlacc Micro Machines diorama.
Yes.
Which I still have.
Fantastic.
And I remember getting it, coming out, opening it in the car, like showing it to my quote unquote girlfriend at the time. And I just remember that was the beginning of the end of that relationship. And I remember like 4 or 5 days later, I mean, these are those relationships only lasted like anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months anyway.
Oh, but they were epic.
Oh, they were epic. There was a lot. They were dense. So I remember a few days later being like, hey, what happened? You know, kind of gossiping with their friends and stuff. And they're like, well, she said you went on a date and you were like playing with toys. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess she wasn't really into that, huh?
How old were you again?
Well, it was either 7th or 8th grade, so that would have put me at like 12 or 13 probably.
See, I remember very vividly, it had to be 7th grade, but what I remember vividly, going to the local Meijer, it was after my birthday, so I had some cash from aunts and uncles, whatever, and I bought some big-ass G.I. Joe toy. I think maybe it was the Cobra Mamba, big helicopter, which it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't, well, it was within the realm of someone that just got a bunch of cash from his aunts and uncles for his birthday, a 5 spot from grandma here, or a 10 spot from great grandpa, or whatever. And I remember going in line and buying it, and I walked by some guys I went to middle school with, and they kind of gave me a look, and tittered and giggled, and I remember getting shit for it going to school the next few days from those guys.
So look, let's play it real. That situation with me obviously affect anything that happens with you in high school from your peers affects you in some way. So how did that affect you? Now you're still into toys as if you got over it, but how did that affect you at that point in time? Did you really care or not?
It was hard because I just don't think I was very mature yet. I was still, not that playing with toys is immature, but I think personally I was immature and still like, I like toys. I'm going to play with toys. I'm not interested so much in girls yet. Of course I had crushes and stuff, but I wanted to play toys.
Yeah, the fall hadn't hit you yet, right? That
exactly.
I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore.
Exactly. I was getting that, and that was right in my face right there. You should probably not be buying toys anymore.
Society is telling you.
Yes, you are too old to play with toys. And it wasn't so much that I gave it up. Well, I did. But it became closeted.
Yeah.
That I tried not to seem as interested. And I stopped spending my money on that stuff. Now, it also helped. I was big into G.I. Joe and Star Wars back in the day. Mm-hmm. It helped that at that point, 7th grade for me was 87. 86, 87.
Oh, man, that's a long time ago.
I understand, but up until then, the last Star Wars movie was 83. So
it's still in the realm.
Yeah, but at that point, they had done every obscure character they could. There was
the Christmas specials and all that.
Right,
They jumped the shark probably at that
There
point.
wasn't enough new toys out there to keep me interested. And also, the G.I. Joe line had moved from realistic-looking army guys to guys wearing these bright green neon outfits. Like, that is not going to work in warfare. So it got a little too fantastical for me. So it was the perfect storm of leaving toys behind. The toys that I liked had gotten too childish, and also there was peer pressure not to be interested anymore. I still was, but I had to suppress that.
Suppress feelings.
But then also, I didn't have any money either, being, 13, 14 years old. Your birthday is coming, that's it. And once you start getting into wearing what the cool kids are wearing and stuff, your birthday presents, Christmas presents are going to be clothes and stuff like that, whatever's the in thing. So toys were no longer the in thing.
So my second key story there, similar to yours, was the same point in time. This might have been 7th or 8th grade. It probably 7th, because I feel like it was younger than maybe it actually was. But at one of these parties, so we had these country parties, right? You ever lived out in the country, so you could have these parties out in the barn, in the backyard, bonfires and all this kind of stuff. So somebody's parents, and there's always the kids whose parents let them have parties, right?
The cool parents?
The cool parents, quote unquote. And then my parents would freak out because they knew they didn't want me going to those parties. But, I had to fight to be there, right? You had to be there, had to make an appearance. So it was kind of the cool kid party, right? So I remember going to one of those, and some high schoolers would show up a little bit, and somebody would sneak in some beer and stuff, and I wasn't into that by any means. And I had some ones that were really closet nerds. They would only come out when they knew nobody else would find out about it, right? So I had a friend that I had loaned the 3.5-inch floppy CD-ROM version of X-Wing Attack and TIE Fighter Pilot, whatever they were called, the computer games.
Oh yeah.
Loaned them to him. So I go up to him. This is kind of my own fault, but it's like one of those moments I'm kind of proud of looking back on. So I go up to him like at the party. We were standing outside somebody's barn, like he was like talking with a girl actually, I think. And I said something to him like, "Oh, hey man, how are those Star Wars games?" And totally just deadpanned me.
Wow.
Like, just left me hanging. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, and ignored me. And I was like, it took me a minute, and then I was like, I see what just happened.
Oh, that's hardcore.
I didn't even know what to take of it at the time, but looking back, I'm like, you know what? Screw him. I was cool, man. I was being myself. I was being myself.
Oh, I agree. But it's hard because peer pressure and on top of that, the pressure to fit in and conform in high school is great.
And that was that same moment that you said at the store, where like it started to hit you, like, oh wait, I'm behind. I'm not following the pack, right? I'm
Right.
supposed to leave this behind now.
Right. I mean, I remember in 7th grade there was one other kid, this guy that was in 8th grade, who was still heavily into G.I. Joe, and he and I would talk. But then when I went to 8th grade, he moved on to high school, and I really didn't have anyone else to talk to about it. And like I said, that pressure was there. I just kind of let it slide after that.
No, I mean, I think that's where that point in time was when I started really being more aware of the diversity of friendships, because I was also super into sports. So I played a lot of sports. I could sort of hang in the quote unquote, jock circle, if you wanted to call it that. I was into sports. I collected cards and stuff like that too. So that was kind of nerdy as well. But so I could flip over to that with people if I needed to.
Gotcha.
But then I would have the friends that you knew you could still talk to them about toys. You could still talk to them about comics. You could still talk to them about that stuff. So then you would have those friendships on the side, and then there's the other friends that were, on the basketball team or playing baseball or whatever. And you kind of started to get that diversity and understanding how people were different, right?
Oh, yeah. Now, the flip side of this question, we basically just kind of covered when we kind of had to self-closet our nerd. Our nerd.
Curb your nerdyism.
Thank you. Yes. But when did you realize, like, when was the first, like, that started it? We're like, you know what? I'm a nerd. I'm into this.
I think it kind of was those same moments we just talked about, because up until that point, I was ignorant, right? I didn't know any different, right? I still had some friends that still played with toys. Nobody. I mean, I had an older sister. She picked on me about a lot of stuff, but she never picked on me about why you still playing with toys. I think it was those moments where I was like, well, I still like this, and I, like you said, it may have been suppressed a little bit, but I had enough friends that were still into it. Some friends that were younger even.
Right.
So it was at that moment where I just decided I wasn't giving it up. So maybe I didn't know I was a nerd, but that's when I knew I was different. All right.
See, and that's fine, but I think my experience is a little different, because I think every kid, boy, girl, whatever, plays with toys, and then they're a lot of fun, but at some point you have to give them up.
Right.
Until you've gone to college and got a career and buy much more expensive toys.
Yeah. That's
how it works. But I think for me, I realized somewhere around 9 or 10 years old that I was a nerd, because I started playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's definitely nerd.
At 9 years old. And
but that was kind of wasn't that not like the golden age of Dungeons and Dragons though? Because I feel like when I was a kid growing up and when I got to be 9 years old, I feel like it was still there, but it was like I knew older people that did it.
Yeah, I mean, late 70s, early 80s was the golden era of Dungeons and Dragons, no question. And I had friends who had older brothers that were into it, and we played it during recess on the playground. At 4th grade, I had a friend, Brian, who he had all the rule books, or actually, no, wait. I didn't think we had too many rule books. It was just do this and then roll these dice. And the teachers were like, what are you guys always doing rolling dice? We're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Which is funny because there was also that Satanism pushback.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, you guys are doing this arcane thing. And I went to a Catholic school. But I never got any of that. My parents, I think they were a little concerned, but they were okay with it, as long as I did nothing too weird. Like, we were at the level where we would play on the school bus, because I had like an hour ride school bus ride.
Yeah, no, same thing too. School bus for sure. Yeah, 45 minutes on the
Because
bus.
I went to Catholic school. You were in the country, so you probably had long distances to go.
Mhm.
My bus ride was so long because I was close to school, but we're Catholic, so we didn't get the public school buses until after the public schools went first.
Okay.
So then we shuttle bus. We take one bus to the public school, and then from the public school to the Catholic school. So we had about 45 minutes to an hour. My friend and I would sit on the floor, use the bench as our map, and we'd take those art erasers, those soft ones.
Yeah.
We'd make them into cubes and make dice out of them.
Oh, okay.
And we'd play on the bus to and from school. How much more nerdy can you get?
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember then they came out with like X-Men versions of the similar
Played
thing.
it.
All that stuff. And I remember wanting to be into them, like, oh, yeah, I want to be. But then when I would sort of see what the game actually was, it wasn't enough for me, right? Because I had grew up with the age of video games and action figures and all that. So when it was like, well, no, there's actually, it's kind of imaginary, it wasn't hooking me at that point in time.
See, I played Dungeons and Dragons. I played Star Frontiers, which was just sci-fi Dungeons and Dragons. I played Gamma World, which was a mixture of both, basically. I played in Marvel Superheroes.
Yeah.
There were 2 versions of that.
So I mean, yeah, all the time you took playing that when I was that age, that was all rolled into the Nintendo Entertainment System in Sega Genesis.
See, you had many more options. I had to wait several years.
Digital. I went digital.
You went digital. I was analog. I was an analog geek.
Okay, so kind of wrapping this up. I mean, I think what we both discovered is we kind of stayed nerds. We had to suppress it at those awkward times in high school and junior high to an extent. High school reunions, they're not. We're both kind of saying we're not sure that they're even a thing anymore because of Facebook, and maybe there'll be a big one like you said. We're like, well, this might be the last time I see some of these people, so we'll go back to them.
So your next high school reunion that comes up, will you go?
If it seems like there's actually going to be people there, you know what I mean? Then
Small town makes sense.
yeah, then maybe because it's got to be worthwhile, like because it's a 2.5 hour drive to where they're probably going to have it, and are some of the good friends going to be there? So short answer, probably not. If I had to put money on it, probably not.
Okay.
I want to though. I want it to be an event that comes together that makes me want to go.
See, if you ask me the same question right now, 50-50. 50-50. Maybe, I don't know.
50 effing 50.
All right, I'll go so far as to say 51 interested, 49 disinterested.
So you'd need like an X factor, a wild card factor
Well,
to come in and like really make you, because you're just,
Maybe I just need to get over myself.
Yeah, probably.
Just agree right away. Don't pause. Just right away agree to get over
No, because
myself.
I could tell you, because remember now, when I asked you why, and I said, be honest, you gave me like 2 canned answers, and then you said, oh, well, let me be honest.
Well, I had to think about it, and once I thought about it, yeah.
Well, because you hadn't gone to one yet, then yes, then you can say you need to get over yourself and go to one.
Yeah. All right, so you're right. I need to get over myself. So maybe.
Well, then, yeah. Well, so when the next one comes, you said next year, 25, you can go.
If they have one.
Hopefully the podcast and the world and technology and everything still exists. Hopefully the electrical grid still exists, and we can have an episode and talk about how it went.
Little bit of irony for you. I started the webpage for my class on Facebook.
And yet you didn't go to any reunions.
Well, like I said, I started it. I was curious about the other people.
You were just being nerdy on Facebook, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found out, and I'm set. Yeah. Anyhow, I don't want to keep kicking a dead horse.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the next reunion. All right, we're back. Now that was a deep discussion about high school. We went deep there, didn't we?
You pulled out some emotions.
I thought you were getting a little teary-eyed for a minute
was,
there. I thought we were gonna have a Dr. Phil moment here.
It was therapy. Therapy.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it at our expense. So we want to talk about a couple quick ways that we're gonna put ourselves out there on the internet, the interwebs. Michael's gonna let you know how you can get a hold of us or stay in touch with us on that.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully you already know that you can find us at soundcloud.com/WNRD. Like I said, if you're already listening, hopefully you know that already.
So when you say if you're already listening, we're talking to the 7 people, right? Steve, Jake, Shelley, Grant,
Dave, Naveen.
Naveen.
I have a Naveen.
That's right. So we're really talking to you guys, and hopefully some more people join the list.
So there's SoundCloud. You can also now find us on Twitter at WNRD Podcast. Once again, that's twitter.com at WNRD Podcast. Likewise, if you want to drop us an email, email is just about the same thing. It's WNRDpodcast at gmail.com. It forwards to my email account, so if you email us, we'll see it pretty quickly, and I'll forward that along.
Yeah, and we're not going to get like any emails. So at this stage, if you're listening to us in the game, like you got like 100% chance that we're gonna get it and we're gonna talk about something.
Exactly.
Watch, now that we say that, like this is going to spread on the internet. We're gonna have like 1 million emails, be like, "Hey, you guys are idiots." And you're like, "Oh man."
As we're so new to this, I personally guarantee I will respond to the first 5 emails.
The first 5, wow.
6. I'll go 6.
You're going to make time out of your busy life for those 5 or 6 emails.
Well, it is Christmas time, so...
Okay, so speaking of Christmas time, so now that stuff is out there, the plugs, there's only a handful of shopping days left, right? We're getting close to Christmas time. We wanted to talk about, tease our topic for the next show, which is going to be a nerd Christmas. So the real big hot item right now, which is big in the nerd world, is the NES Classic, the mini NES, right?
Oh my
it's
God.
sold out. You can't get it anywhere. I'm calling around. They only get like 1 or 2 at a time, and they don't know
Wait,
when they're going to get them.
Are you kidding me? It's really sold out?
It's yes, it's completely sold out.
That's bullshit.
It's completely sold out everywhere, and you have to call these places. So anyways, that's the nerd item of the season for sure, and we'll get into that. We don't want to talk about it. We'll get into that next show. But the real teaser is we're going to talk and we're going to ask, of your historical Christmas memories, what were the 3 biggest nerd Christmases for you? What were the 3 gifts that you're like, wow, that was a nerdy gift, and I love it, and that was a great Christmas?
God, I have to admit, I'm excited about this topic because I'm really going to have to think, because I am a huge nerd, and I know I've gotten some awesome nerdy gifts, so...
We might even need to have the ability to upload some photographs and stuff for this one. Find pictures online and all that kind of stuff. We have to really get multimedia now that we're growing.
We are growing, and I'm still shocked that the Nintendo's really selling out, really?
Yes.
You just burst my bubble.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be that bad, and then I called like 2 days later. I'm like, okay, the big initial wave is gone. I could probably get one now. And then everybody's like, no, we're completely sold out. They're sold out across the country, they said.
It's like the Wii like 8 years ago.
Oh, I think it's more than that. But so anyways, we'll get into it. It was a great show. We got deep. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you hang around with us now into the future. Be safe out there. Take care. Peace, nerds.
Be seeing you.